Well, welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Joining me today from the Fitchburg Fire Department it is my friend Mark Moleka. She's back and ready to rock our socks with electricity.
Yeah.
You're bringing the electricity.
All right.
If Nick could add a sound effect there, which I'm sure he will, because you should add a sound effect. Electricity is interesting in a lot of sense. We all need it. We all use it. But we don't always use it right.
Yeah, we're sort of bringing in, well, first of all, thanks for having me back. I
Hey,
didn't
hi.
get a chance to say that. Yeah, we're sort of bringing in, harnessing this energy that if not used properly, it can go sideways on us.
Well, it's one of those like take for granted type of thing, right? Like it's always there. It's like, oh, I just got to plug in and go. Don't even look at the device. Don't even look at the cord. Don't even look at, and that's where things start to get interesting. Stats. Love the stats here. When it comes to electrical issues in the home, I mean, it can cost you some big dollar amounts, you know, if you do run into electrical things. But what would you suggest the average homeowner do when it comes to checking things out? And just even if you have zero knowledge of electricity, or you're like, oh man, I need to hire somebody, like where would you say to start?
So, first of all, mind your extension cords and your additional devices like power strips. So overloading outlets. The vision that comes to my mind is Christmas Vacation in the garage when they flip the switch and everything goes on, right? That's a huge red flag. That should be something where you say to yourself, if I need to plug this many things in, maybe I need more outlets and receptacles. And the reason receptacles are safer, is because they go back to the breaker box. Once they're overloaded, they'll actually trip a breaker, whereas an extension cord or even a power strip or something like that won't necessarily do that.
I didn't say the stats, you know, I said, hey, the stat, but between 2019 and 2023, 31,647 reported home structure fires because of things you just talked about, things that are like your common household items, your common things that you never look at. When's the last time you took out your favorite appliance, i.e. maybe toaster, and really looked at the cord and like, oh,
Yeah. So
I was kind of afraid. Or this is like the third hand-me-down of that device, and it still works.
Right. So just to add to that, right, 31,000 some odd incidents in that 5-year period, I would offer that probably most of those were preventable. A large portion of those, by doing simple things like making sure that your receptacle isn't overloaded, or making sure that your cords are in good shape, or the appliance is in actually good shape. It costs an insane amount each year to the insurance companies, somewhere in that same time frame, somewhere in the range of $1.6 billion.
That's with a B.
In losses. That is with a B. But like I say, generally preventable if you do just a little bit of care and maintenance.
So the first safety tip, and I think is one that I always contemplate with, is have electrical work done by a qualified electrician. Is it worth the money?
Yes. As somebody who also investigates fires at the end of the day, having that work done by a qualified electrician ultimately is an expense. It's out of pocket, and they're not cheap. I'll freely acknowledge that. However, the cost of things when they've gone wrong is much greater, and the cost of an electrician will pale in comparison to the loss that could be sustained.
For major appliances like dryers, washers, stoves, or microwaves, they should be directly plugged into an outlet, not into an extension cord, or not into some type of splitting. I'm drawing a blank here. You know what I'm saying? Power strip. Dang it!
I gotcha. Those appliances for certain, and use say a dryer or an oven or something like that. They typically require 220 volt service, so that's a different plug altogether, right? So it's much easier. But that said, any heat producing appliance, space heater, toaster, coffee maker, microwave, electric griddle, whatever it is you might be plugging in, the best, safest thing to do every single time is to plug it into a wall receptacle.
Directly plugged in. And what happens to, let's just use the space heater example, if you plug a space heater into an extension cord or into a very not so well power strip, what actually happens? Where's the fire part of that start?
So there's a couple of ways it can happen. First and foremost, you mentioned the cord. If the cord isn't in good shape, then generally the entire appliance needs to be replaced. And I can even tell a story about my home adventures safely here, if we like. But generally speaking, the amount of power that we're asking that device to take is more than the types of wires that are involved. The gauge of the wire is important, making sure that we're not overloading that. So with extension cords in particular, the lower the cost of the extension cord most likely means that the gauge of the wire just isn't there to support a good heavy load of electricity coming through, so it heats up and eventually becomes a problem.
And then as far as overloads go, you kind of mentioned the Christmas Vacation is the true like overload, but overloading an outlet, if it keeps popping, meaning your circuit breaker keeps giving out, hopefully it's going to give out, you're overdoing it. But what is the ultimate price you're going to pay if you do overload that eventually, whether it's over time or whether it's just too much?
So that's the real question is over time, if you're tripping a breaker in the house, somewhere you're overloading a circuit. And by overloading, what I'm really saying is you're overheating that circuit. So any housing or any insulation that might be on the wiring degrades over time, and eventually it just isn't going to be able to support that. So if you keep blowing a breaker, you need to evaluate what you've got plugged into that outlet or receptacle, but you also need to evaluate whether or not your breaker is the right breaker for that use, or if that's where an electrician can come in really handy and they can vet that out and work through that challenge with you.
How about, we'll go back to the famous extension cord. My favorite is tucking it under a carpet or out of sight, out of mind, right? That's going to pay out really well, right?
So the simple rule with this is if you're replacing a wall outlet with an extension cord, then you don't have enough wall outlets. And that would be a cue to get in and have an electrician install additional outlets or receptacles.
And is there a magic number for when it comes to extension cables or just your typical wire, so to speak, like the time, the use of it? Because I'm thinking I just had a garage sale and I put some things out there and I was like, these were like things I grew up with. Like, was it really good? And I end up recycling them because I'm like, I don't think I should pass these on.
So I think I understand your question. Is there a time period where you should keep electrical appliances in use?
Electrical appliances, your power strips, your, like over time, again, like how can we use them for a lifetime? Again, there's that pass down moment, like.
Yeah.
I know you can't say for certain, but as a general rule of thumb, like.
Yeah, if it's starting to show wear, if it's starting to show that it's aged out, if it's got the extension cord when you bend it, or the extension cord, the plug or cord for the appliance, if you bend it and it looks like it's got little cracks in it, replace it.
All right. Finally, the battery front gets very interesting now. So lithium-ion batteries, they're battery-operated stuff. I mean, that's the society we're in now. Mm-hmm. Some of it's kind of cool. One that comes to mind right out of the gate was electric scooters. There was a recall on them because they were, heating up, fire, whatever. When we're talking about battery and recharging these things, what's the proper way to set up a charging station for batteries in general?
Great question. They're everywhere. E-bikes, on up to electric vehicles, on down to my watch. Everything has a lithium-ion battery in it, and they're getting safer as time goes on, right? They're a new technology. But the really short answer to the best way to manage these is, first and foremost, make sure that you're using the approved wire and plug to charge it. So I had a fire years ago where it was in a cordless drill, and the gentleman in his garage found another charger that wasn't meant for this drill, but it fit. Oh, it fits the hole. I'll use it. So he used it, and it was the wrong charger with the wrong battery, and he was off to the races. He lost his entire garage to that, right? The other thing to do with lithium-ion batteries is, and I'll use a cordless drill battery, say a Milwaukee or a DeWalt or something like that. That battery is encased in the housing, and you want to make sure that housing doesn't crack or get damaged. If it does, then it's time to recycle that, and people can give me a call and I can help them with places to recycle it. But once that housing is cracked, that battery is at risk for catching fire. So the two things that people can really do is make sure they're using the right charger and discarding appropriately any batteries that have been damaged.
Also with these batteries too, don't keep charging the device or the battery after it's fully charged, because there's, again, you really got to read the manufacturing stuff on this. We have that debate here because we use a lot of batteries for our cameras, right? And that has changed over time, where it used to be you wanted to keep them on. Now you really want to pull them off, but you got to be specific about what it is.
Well, you have to know your device, right? Some devices have a smart charger, so it'll actually back off and it'll condition that battery appropriately. A lot of chargers just continue to dump power into the battery, and first and foremost, it degrades battery life, but second of all, it puts them at risk of catching fire and becoming a problem.
And then just disposal of batteries. We just saw Madison Fire deal with this about a month ago, I believe. They had a garbage truck fire, and I can't remember. I think that was battery related, but nevertheless, you really don't want to put these batteries in the trash can because fire.
Nope, they should be disposed of appropriately. You can go over to the Dane County landfill. Clean Sweep can take care of those. They can take them in, but you need to dispose of them properly. And the regular garbage or even the recycling bin is not the right place.
All right, Mark, if people have any questions coming out of this, they're like, oh my gosh, I'm not sure about the electrical stuff in my house, or sometimes I smell burning or something, when in doubt, call. That's kind of where I'm always at, and I know you've said that before as well, but you're happy to take questions. But if you do suspect an electrical fire of some sort and you're not sure, would you recommend calling?
Oh, 100%. So first and foremost, if you smell, some sort of a burning that's not normal, you see smoke, anything like that, call 911 immediately. That should be your first. We'll get there, we'll figure it out, and we're happy to do that. That's what we do. But if you have something that a device or an appliance or something that you suspect, just take it out of use for the time being. And people can always call. I'm happy to answer.
Mark's a pretty sociable guy. He may not appear that he's something. I love picking on you. Mark, I really appreciate it. I think this is great information, very timely as we get into the summer and start doing those outdoor activities and stuff. We're bound to plug some things in, or we need to recycle some of the things that we just got done using from wintertime. So certainly if you got any questions, check in with Mark or the fire department. They got some great resources online at their website as well, fitchfordwi.gov. Go under the fire department page and you can check it out. Yeah. Thank you so much, Mark.
Thank you.